Okay, welcome back to Roadshow live coverage from the NAIAS, the North American International Auto Show, known colloquially as the Detroit Auto Show. It's the biggest bear in the woods in the U.S. auto show circuit and one of the 2 or 3 premium auto shows around the world every year. Ford, of course, always makes a massive presence here at the show. We're just miles down the road from Dearborn, the long historic company home, and it's great to have our next guest with us.
That's right, we got CEO of Ford, Mark Fields. Mark, we just saw you a couple of days ago down in Las Vegas.
We got to stop meeting like this.
That's what we do, which means I have to come up with a whole new set of questions now to talk to you the second time. And I still want to talk about that. So Ford had a big presence at CES like you've had for a long, long time now. And some of the biggest stories at CES were automotive related. Can you talk to me about how Ford treats CES versus Detroit, and is one competing against the other, or are they like a happy harmony?
Well, they're actually both complementary to us, and very important venues to get our message out. And we've been going to CES since 2007. We were the first automaker to go there. And we use that to really we used this year to really talk about how we're transforming from an auto company to an auto and a mobility company. And when you think about both pieces of those business, a lot of the enabling technology is allowing to do some amazing things. So we used last week at CES to highlight the progress we're making in the core business, but also progress in these 5 areas, what we call Ford Smart Mobility. And we're using this show to introduce new product, but also talk about the progress we're making. So they're complementary, but it sure keeps us busy in the first 2 weeks of the year.
It keeps us busy too.
Yeah, now you talked about the biggest area in this mobility transformation. I think it was the new Ford Pass service that you rolled out there. Let's face it, most of our viewers, most of the average car makers out there, I should say, our car owners are going to say, okay, what does that mean they're becoming a mobility company? That's nebulous to them. So let's talk about what Ford Pass has, because now you're putting some meat on the bones there. You've got 4 modules, one of which is to have innovation centers that the average person can visit. What will you show there?
Well, we'll show our latest technologies. As you think about Ford Pass, it's part of our whole approach to really revolutionize the customer experience and make it very unique to Ford. And the analogy I would use is think about Apple when they came out with their iPod. You know, it was a nice piece of hardware, but they really revolutionized the customer experience when they created iTunes. And it changed that relationship forever. That's what we want Ford Pass to do, and it has 4 distinct elements. You mentioned the hubs. These are opportunities for consumers to come in. We're going to launch 4 in 4 cities over the next couple of years, and it's for people to come in and learn about our new technologies, help them with their mobility needs. For example, if you look at the show here, you see a lot of hands-on with our technology. You know, think about those hands-on science centers. Think about that for our Ford hubs, but also to be able to develop relationships with the consumers and just provide a non-transactional environment where they can come in and explore.
Now, we were intrigued by the 6-way lease.
Right.
We want to get our whole roadshow team together on a really hot Ford.
On a Ford GT in particular. If we were to split up a Ford GT 6 ways, roughly how much would we be talking?
We figure we can just about make that reach. So why do this?
Well, again, this is around thinking as a mobility company. And for us, at its simplest definition, mobility is giving people the freedom to live, play, and work where they want. And with the shared lease, anywhere from 3 to 6 people will be able to share a lease. Think about this. Think about you in a neighborhood, and you and your neighbors, you know, occasionally you want to use a pickup truck, but not full time. Think about the ability to share, have a neighborhood F-150 that everybody can use, and we provide an app so you can manage the available times. Think about a household that has a number of different licensed drivers in it. It's a way of exploring and experimenting in making people's lives easier and providing that mobility in non-traditional ways that we never thought before.
And that part's relatively easy compared to getting consumers to think that way, right? That's the real shift.
Well, part of it is just getting the message out that we want to make their lives easier. And again, part of why we experiment is to learn. Right? Learn about consumer needs, how they're using the products, learn about their mobility needs. And for us, it's a real big opportunity because we have our core business, which we love, right? Designing, developing, manufacturing great cars, trucks, SUVs, and electrified vehicles. But then when they have this thing called emerging mobility services, which is really enabled by technology. And the business opportunity is that core business is worth about $2.3 trillion for the all the automakers around the world. And we get about 6% of that. Transportation services mass transit, ride sharing, taxis. That's about $5.4 trillion a year. And we, as well as the rest of our competitors, get literally none of that. So that's why it's a business opportunity and an opportunity to fill a need.
I think that was one of the more fascinating points that came out of your discussion. Is I don't think that anybody's really thinking that way. I've certainly never heard of anybody in the industry because everyone's predicting doom and gloom for everybody in the industry. You know, everyone's going to go ride sharing. Autonomous cars are going to kill the industry,
But at least fewer cars sold, driven more.
right. But this gives you guys basically a big, beautiful new industry to pivot into, effectively.
Exactly. Plus, at the same time, let's be real. I mean, you know, for our lifetimes, particularly outside of urban areas, people are still going to shop, buy, own, drive vehicles the way they've had for many, many years. So that's still going to be a very healthy business for us. But particularly in urban areas where people want access versus ownership, we're asking ourselves, we're challenging custom, questioning tradition, not taking anything for granted, and saying, how can we fill that need? And sometimes it'll be on our own, and sometimes it'll be partnering with others.
And this also entails a bit of a shift, not just in terms from a car company to a mobility company, but also into a data company, because now you're learning more about your consumers and what their habits are and shifting your business to follow that. Does that give you a little bit more of a different focus that you need to have in terms of protecting user data and ultimately things like that? How are you ensuring your consumers that their data is safe, I guess is what I'm
Well,
getting to.
it's a big issue, right? Because, you know, all you have to do is read about what's happening with private data these days. And our approach as a company is we want to be viewed very simply as a trusted steward of the customer's information. And what that means is first that the customer has to opt in or has to elect to share their information with us. We can't take that for granted. They need to see some benefit in return for that. And we need to keep it safe. So obviously, we're spending a lot of time making sure with our technology people, our IT people, et cetera, that we have the appropriate security measures to keep that data safe.
Well, along the lines of that, what's your overall big view of dealing with Apple and Google as they have their Android Auto and CarPlay that's now coming on top of Sync soon? Is that an uneasy relationship?
No, not really. I mean, one of the things obviously we've learned setting up a big research and innovation center in Silicon Valley is the importance of partnerships, and plus, you know, the importance of sometimes you may cooperate with a partner in one area of the business, you may compete in another piece, you know, that term frenemies. And our approach is give customers choice. So if they want to use their Android phone or they want to use their Apple phone or they want to use Sync, we give them that choice and allow them to do that in whatever device they want to use.
Okay, so we're here in Detroit. Enough about software. Let's talk sheet metal.
Oh, yeah.
We just saw the new Continental roll out. Quiet luxury is the theme. Some interesting innovations in there, all focused on, again, quiet luxury. We were a little bit fascinated by the seat with the split bolsters that allow you to have a heavy right foot and still have the perfect support. Is that really the focus of this car? Because we see so many big sedans trying to be performance cars as well. This seems like it's much more skewing toward the luxury side of things and the comfort side of things.
This is really about, we spent a lot of time trying to understand how do we differentiate Lincoln in the marketplace. Because we have some very, very competent competitors in the luxury segment. And we've really focused on what we call quiet luxury, which is an elegance, it's a serenity, it's effortless power, and it's almost a sanctuary that you can get in. And I guess our approach with the Continental and with the Lincoln brand is around how do we bring these warm human touches in a contemporary design. So we've been really focusing on the whole user experience and then understanding what's the technology that delivers that. And, you know, with the Lincoln perfect position seats, one of the things customers told us was, gosh, you know, I'm on long journeys and, you know, my one leg is extended more than the other. And we thought to ourselves, how do we give our consumers the experience that when they get out of the vehicle after a long drive, that they feel refreshed? That's where that idea came from and that technology came from. And we looked at high-end office furniture, private aircraft chairs, and be able to came up with, I think, a very unique solution.
I didn't see any mention of the custom loafers that were in the concept car. Will that be an option on the production
I think Raj Nair, our head of product development, took those.
He took those home.
Well, we're going to be talking with him a little later on, so we'll confirm that.
We'll ask him about that. All right, Mark, before we let you go, we always like to ask, what are you driving from the Ford catalog right now?
Okay, so I just took delivery of my new Mustang GT350R, and with a flat plane crank. And let me tell you, when I took delivery at the dealership, I couldn't get out of the dealership because there were so many people that wanted to see the car. And I'm a little bit biased, I get it, but I think this is the best Mustang we have ever produced, one that you can race on the weekends and drive during the day, and as I said, it's pretty awesome.
Well, it's a finalist for our Powertrain of the Year Shift Award, so I don't think that you are alone in having that opinion. So that sounds like a nice
great
ride.
Detroit moment I'm envisioning. You're driving down Woodward, you come to a stoplight, you look over it. That's Mark Fields.
And
He's in an R.
And he does this, yeah.
Not being driven around in some big dark window
No,
car.
no. I always find that weird, in the old days when execs used to be driven around. It's like you're in the car business. I mean, drive.
The thing. Yes.
Absolutely, as you should.
Mark, thanks for taking time.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Tim. Thanks, Brian.